How you doing, guys? There's one thing I've never liked, and that was when doing the roommate thing. Most of my life I preferred living alone, but let's face it, I think we've all done the roommate thing on occasion. I've only done it a couple of times, and it usually always ends up the same, not well, especially when it's a person of the opposite sex. The last time I did a roommate was just that. The last time. One thing I hate in my life is drama. I like to live a peaceful existence. You deal with enough BS in work. You deal with enough of it when you're out and about. When you come home, you like things peace and quiet. I had this roommate that was the biggest drama queen. That sun is glaring. The biggest drama queen I think I've ever met. And the thing was, she caused most of her own drama. I made the mistake of moving, thinking, okay, it was a good situation, I thought at the time. It certainly was a comfortable setting. But the one problem is, there are two kinds of roommates. The one that likes to dominate over the other, and the other one that likes to keep the peace. Me, myself, I like to keep the peace. I don't say a whole lot. Like I said, I just like to be left alone. The only problem with that is, when you stay quiet and they're trying to dominate, they eventually will squeeze you into a corner. And no matter what you do, you're getting their opinion. Excuse me, it's none of your concern. When I get home from work, I like things quiet. I like to have a few beers, go to bed, very quiet. For some odd reason, this girl decided to do housework in the middle of the night. She was not quiet either. I think she weighed maybe all of 130 pounds, and yet every step she took in the house sounded like a brontosaurus running across the living room. She wouldn't close cabinet doors, she would slam them. I would take my beer, drop it in the trash can very quietly. I swear this girl would hurl them for distance across the room, and all you hear was this loud clang. But at 3 in the morning, when she started vacuuming, next morning I mentioned it. I says, you really can't do that in the middle of the night. What she says, you need to learn to coexist. And I says, your idea of coexisting is me putting up with your bullshit. As the months went on, this continued. Now, I was working a lot of hours. Sometimes I would get up in the wee hours of the morning, which meant I'd come home and would get only a few hours sleep. And these were the nights that she would push it all the more. She would be all the louder. One night, I don't know, the look on my face must have scared the hell out of her. I got up and just glared at her. She turns out the vacuum. It's off. A little late now. It's 3 a.m. My personal life all of a sudden became her business. I couldn't even see somebody. There was one time, excuse me, guys. Sorry, guys, dog was barking. My personal business all of a sudden became hers. She found out I was seeing somebody. Now, I don't announce things. I keep my personal business to myself. I wasn't obligated to. She actually went out of her way to find this girl, to find out who she was. Got to the point we had to go to a hotel just for the privacy. She decides to call me at 1 a.m. to find out what the hell is going on. Couldn't get a straight answer as to why she would do that. I'm like, why would you do that, first of all? Apparently, she was under the impression that we were a couple, which we never were. Never had any relations with this girl. It got so bad. I was getting squeezed. Her father, like I said, she was a drama queen. She, actually, her car supposedly got broken into 3 times. You're not that important. You don't have anything. She tried to blame this friend of mine that I had been seeing, but she had moved hundreds of miles away. And I said, yeah, I'm sure she flew in just to break into your vehicle. Well, I know she had something to do with it. No, she didn't. She doesn't know who you are, nor does she care. Things got worse and worse and worse. Decides it was her place. She decides she wants to raise the rent on me. Now, I don't have a problem with that. However, if you're going to charge that much money, I'm insistent that I have a little bit of breathing room. I mean, this talking to herself was annoying. This pestering me was annoying. If I was sitting down having coffee, she would have to be like, her ass right in my face right there. It's like, excuse me, can I have some breathing room? She thought I eventually moved out because she raised the rent. No, I moved out because I was being squeezed into a corner. Like I said, I'm an easygoing guy. But eventually, when I have had enough, I have had enough. It got to the point I had to go to the laundry room for a little bit of privacy to have my beers, but eventually that wore off because she come down and harassed me. It's like I had no place to go. As it was, I moved out. Yeah, she was bad-mouthing me. Okay, that's fine, and Danny, you think what you want, but I needed my space. One thing I never could understand, control freaks, and I have known control freaks from every walk of life. And the one thing control freaks don't understand is the more you try and control, the more you squeeze, the less of a response you're going to get. I'm eventually going to move out of your distance. When I started studying with Jehovah's Witnesses, the delinquent that gave me my study was probably the biggest control freak I had ever met. I had mentioned him in past videos. For some odd reason, this guy thought he had jurisdiction over me. It was like he would parade me around like a trophy. I mean, not to mention that he was a credit grabber. I was doing all this because of his effort, which was BS. It wasn't him, it was me. The guy was illiterate, not very bright, but I guess he was patting himself on the back. And the thing was, he tried to dominate over me to the point where he was sneaking around my house. I don't know what he was looking for, mostly when I was not there. I never liked surprise visits, but he tried to control me, not only in the organization, but my private life. As it was, I got a little bit of distance. Talked to the coordinator, who was a personal friend of mine, about it, and we both simultaneously said the same thing about him. He was a wannabe elder. He really didn't qualify. He was dumped as a ministerial servant on 2 occasions. But what he wanted was his own congregation within the congregation. See, I've watched him on a number of occasions bully Bible studies. And he usually was studying with the most delinquent, uneducated oafs I'd ever met. Maybe because if he made him feel smarter, because he wasn't well educated himself. But he tried to dominate and control on their own personal time, on their own lives. He tried that with me, and all he eventually did was squeeze me away, and I got my distance. I could only talk to this guy maybe once or twice a week. I just could not have him around because this guy was just so smothering. Just like her. It's like he had to be like right here. There was one time I was going through financial hard times. Most of the financial crises I went through was when I was a JW. He says to me, you know, just to ease the pressure, you got to put your dog in the pound. And when things get better, you get her out. He really thought I was going to take my dog to the pound. Didn't seem to understand it doesn't work that way. Either somebody will snag your dog or they will snuff your dog. The dog will not be there when you get out. But control freaks like this wannabe elder, it's not only can they not control other people's lives, they can barely control their own. Much like this crazy girl. This girl created her own drama, and my Bible instructor created his own problems. He was never really, not that he wasn't in good standing, but he was a hothead, and the elders never really took him serious, and he didn't realize most of the time we end up laughing at him. It got to the point, okay, years goes by, he's no longer my Bible instructor, I'm baptized. He kind of keeps his distance. We go out in service once in a while, that's fine. Towards the end, the elders really couldn't get anything out of me. What's he decide to do? He starts to harass me at home. He would show up constantly at my house. If not there, he'd start pestering me at work. He tried scare tactics. Excuse me, son, I'm in my 50s. Childish scare tactics don't work on me. As it was, he saw no problem harassing me at work, although I basically could have got him trespassed, which was a damn thought. But one thing I never liked was having my life dominated by somebody else. Like I said, I'm easygoing these days. I used to be a hothead myself and never had dealt with this. But now that I'm quiet, for some reason, I run into these control freaks that seem to think they can take over your life. But this is why I am no longer a Jehovah's Witness. Because one thing I've noticed about these wannabe elders, they are worse than the actual thing. See, for the most part, most elders, I never was smothered by. They pretty much had their say, but they left me alone. Never had one of them sneak around my house. The wannabe elders will push the rules just a bit. They stop making up their own rules. Like I said, this Goomba would circle my work. He'd circle my house, make surprise visits. And like I said, he didn't realize The more you try and squeeze, the more you try and control, the less results you're going to get. I rule my own life, not you, not a corporation, not some crazy-ass roommate. No, Vinny rules Vinny, not you. Anyways, guys, that's basically why I don't like roommates. This is why I don't do well in organizations. I'm pretty much a loner. I like it that way. But for anybody who is studying with Jehovah's Witnesses, this is the kind of thing you're going to get. Because I think every congregation has wannabe elders. And wannabe and the control freaks, the whole damn thing. Anyways, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I know this is kind of a lighter subject than most, but I just kind of wanted to get that out there. If you come across this video, hit that notification button. That'll let you know that I'm out here. And I will talk to you soon. You guys have a good day.